Why is conflict so important? By the way, I'll have some leaders tell me, listen, Pat, I don't really care if people get their feelings hurt. What I don't want is to waste time. See, they'll say, it just takes too much time. Why should we debate this decision for the next 2 hours? After all, I've been in charge for a long time. I know what we should do. Why don't I just make the decision without engaging in conflict? And I'll save them 2 hours. I'll be their hero. They can go do email or something else. Well, the reason why that's a problem is because it takes us to the next thing that we have to overcome to make our teams great. We have to go from conflict to commitment. You see, the next thing we have to embrace is we have to get our teams to commit to decisions without reservation. And the only way to do that is with conflict. You see, if I make a decision for my team and they haven't weighed in on that decision, they're not going to buy into that decision. Let me repeat that. If people don't weigh in on a decision, they're not going to buy in. Now, that is not an argument for consensus, because I don't believe in consensus. I think that's a 4-letter word. If we wait for consensus, if we wait until people all agree on a decision, we're going to make decisions that are too slow, too late, and probably equally dissatisfying for everyone. What I believe we have to do is have conflict so that people, when they weigh in, even if their idea didn't get adopted, they will buy in. How does that happen? So if I have a difficult decision to make, and I have a group of people on my team, and we're probably not naturally all going to be on the same page. If we were, we'd have made the decision long ago and moved on. Hallelujah. Most times we don't have that. So my job as a leader is to demand that people have conflict, that they disagree with one another, so that after I've heard everybody's opinion, I can then say, is there anything that hasn't been said? And when people say, no, I think we've put it all out there, I can say, okay, clearly there's not one clear answer. My job is to break the tie. As the leader of this team, my job is to break this tie. And I understand why you said what you said, but we're not going to go with that idea. I understand why you said what you said, and I am going to go with that idea. And I understand what your opinion, and here's why we're not going to go through it. And if you can explain the decision in the context of everybody's answer, their input, that they engaged in conflict around, and you can say, this is why I'm going to go with that decision, and I need your support. Do you know that 99 out of 100 times, people will support that decision even if they didn't agree with it? I mean, nobody here is so insecure that we have to get our idea adopted every time. What we need is to know that our idea was heard and factored into the ultimate decision and that we can explain it. Human beings are immensely reasonable. And as long as we know that our ideas have been factored into the decision, we can support something even if we didn't agree with it, as long as there's not an ethical or moral problem there. But if we don't have conflict around that issue, if we don't weigh in, if I as a leader do not demand that people weigh in, then I am not going to get their true buy-in. What am I going to get from them? Am I going to get them to sabotage the idea? I mean, if I make a decision, okay, everybody, we're going to do this, are the people that didn't get to weigh in, are they going to go sabotage it? Probably not. I wish they would, because that's more interesting. But that only happens on TV and in the movies that people have never worked in a company. Really, what people do most often is far more common and more boring and more dangerous. They passively commit to the idea. They just say, okay, I'll go along with that. Then they go back to their team and they say, I don't think this is a good idea. And so they're not really going to help. They're going to alligator arm it. You know what that is? That's like, oh, let me help with that. Oh, no? Oh, okay, you know. Or they're going to see a train wreck happening around that decision, and instead of diving out there and going, hey, everybody, wait, let's prevent this, they're going to step back and go, watch this. Then they're going to come to a meeting and go, see, I didn't ever think that idea was going to work. Our job as team members and leaders is to make sure that everybody weighs in, that every avenue has been explored, so that the leader at the end of that discussion, if we haven't convinced or been convinced, the leader can break that tie and we can leave that room being on the same page.